Oke, Indra, opening. Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Sutoto MKes Fiskwa, Ketua Eksekutif KARS. Yang saya hormati para anggota manajemen KARS dan peserta anggota KSK ke-65 yang saya muliakan. Selamat malam, salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, dan juga salam sehat untuk semua. Pertama-tama, perkenankan saya mengucapkan selamat datang bagi seluruh peserta Knowledge Sharing KARS yang ke-65, khususnya bagi para surveyor KARS dan rekan-rekan dari rumah sakit di seluruh Indonesia yang bergabung malam ini. Sebelum kita memulai acara ini, mari kita simak rundown acara malam ini melalui tayangan audiovisual berikut. Silakan Indra. Indra. Oke, cukup Indra. Baik, teman-teman sekalian, setelah melihat alur acara malam ini, mari kita memulai dengan membaca doa agar acara ini berjalan lancar dan bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Saya akan baca doa secara Islam dan bagi peserta yang non-Islam bisa menyesuaikan. Berhubung Dr. Hani berhalangan, jadi saya langsung pimpin. Apologize to our distinguished guests, Ellen John and Dr. Karsten. We will start with praying in Islamic method. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. An-na'imin hamdan syakirin hamdan yu'afi ni'amahu yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karimi azim sultanik. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbi srah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, pada malam ini kami berkumpul bersama dalam acara KSK yang ke-65. Untuk itu kami mohon ridho dan berkah-Mu ya Allah atas pertemuan kami. Kami akan berbagi ilmu pengetahuan dengan tamu kami dari luar negeri, yaitu Dr. Karsten Engel dari ISKWA dan juga Dr. Ellen John juga dari ISKWA. Untuk itu ya Allah, mohon Kau berikan berkah kepada mereka agar lancar dan juga kepada kami agar dapat menerima semua pembicaraan dan ilmu pengetahuan ini dengan baik dan akan dapat kami laksanakan dalam pekerjaan kami selanjutnya. Ya Allah, berikan kesehatan kepada kami semua. Ya Allah, tunjuki kami selalu jalan yang lurus dan berikan ketetapan kami berada di jalan itu. Tunjukkan pula kami jalan yang salah dan hindarkan kami dari jalan yang salah. Hanya kepadamu ya Allah kami memohon dan meminta karena Kau adalah pengabul semua doa. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Baik. Saya akan memulai acara ini. Kita gunakan bahasa Inggris, teman-teman. Good evening, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. On behalf of Indonesian Hospital Accreditation Commission, CARS, I am truly honored to welcome all of you to the 65th session of Knowledge Sharing CARS, our regular bi-weekly program dedicated to continuous learning, enlightenment, and enhancement of knowledge among CARS surveyors and professionals in healthcare quality and patient safety. Since its inception, Knowledge Sharing CARS has been a platform for dialogues, reflection, and inspiration, helping us all stay updated with the latest global development and challenges in healthcare quality and safety. Tonight, session is particularly special as we are joined by the two highly distinguished international figures from ISQA, the International Society for Quality in Healthcare, an organization that has long been a global leader and partner in advancing the science and practice of healthcare quality improvement worldwide. It is my great privilege to introduce our esteemed speakers, Dr. Ellen John Van Fleet, the President-elect of FISQA, and Dr. Carsten Engel, the Chief Executive Officer of ISQA. We are deeply grateful for your presence and generosity in sharing our expertise with us this evening. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all international participants who have joined us for this session, whether you are a member of ISQA or other professional passionate about healthcare quality and patient safety. Your participation enriches our discussion and strengthens our shared commitment to improving health services globally. Once again, thank you to our distinguished speakers and all attendees. I wish all us an inspiring and insightful session ahead. Thank you.
Jangan berisik.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ellen Jot and Dr. Carsten Engel, for your kind presence and willingness to share our expertise with us this evening. Before we officially begin the presentation, it is my honor to invite Dr. Sutoto, Memkes Fisqua, and the Executive Chairman of the Indonesian Hospital Accreditation Commission, CARS, who is also the sponsor of this Knowledge Sharing CARS program, to deliver his opening remarks. Dr. Sutoto will share his vision and thought on the importance of continuous learning, knowledge sharing, and international collaboration in advancing healthcare quality and patient safety in Indonesia and globally. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Sutoto M. Fisqua. Dr. Sutoto, the floor or the screen is yours. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Johnny. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening and warm greeting to everyone. Distinguished speaker, Dr. Ellen John Van Fleet, President-elect of ISQA, whose inspiring leadership and passion for learning continue to transform healthcare quality globally. Dr. Carsten Engel, CEO of ISQA, a visionary leader whose work has guided ISQA to become a global beacon of excellence in healthcare quality and patient safety. Our respected moderator, Dr. Jani Dharmajaya, and all participants of the Knowledge Sharing Class and the third Patient Center Care Institute webinar. On behalf of Indonesian Commission of Accreditation on Hospital, CARS, I'm truly delighted to welcome you all to the 65th session of Knowledge Sharing CARS and the third PCCI webinar. Today, we are honored to have two distinguished speakers from ISQA who will share their insight on leadership, engagement, and the role external evaluation in improving healthcare quality. Dr. Ellen John Van Fleet will speak on appreciative inquiry as an accelerator for clinical leadership, staff engagement, and patient empowerment in hospital accreditation. Her message reminds us that appreciative inquiry is not only a method, but a mindset, a way to awaken the best within healthcare professionals and create meaningful change. Meanwhile, Dr. Carsten Engel will present on improving care quality through external evaluation challenges for the future. His insight will guide us in understanding how external evaluation can continue to serve as a learning journey, even as healthcare system face a new complexities and challenges in the future. At CARS, we believe that sharing knowledge is the foundation, transformation, and that by learning together, we build stronger connection and a shared global commitment to quality and patient safety, the universal language that unites us all. Our deepest gratitude goes to Dr. Ellen John Van Vliet and Dr. Carlson Engel for generously sharing their time, wisdom, and inspiration. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Johnny Dharmajaya for skillfully moderating today's session, and to all participants, both international and national, for your dedication and enthusiasm in advancing healthcare excellence. May today's session inspire us all to keep learning, growing, and leading change for a better, safer, and more patient-centered healthcare system. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Sutoto. Okay, now we are moving to our first session of this evening, Knowledge Sharing Cars 65th. To begin, we are greatly honored to have with us Dr. Ellen Joan Van Vliet, the President-elect of ISQA, who will be delivering her presentation entitled Appreciative Inquiry as an Accelerator for Clinical Leadership, Staff Engagement, and Patient Empowerment in Hospital Accreditation. Before we listen to her insightful presentation, let us take a moment to get now more about her distinguished background and remarkable journey in healthcare quality improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the following audio presentation, a visual presentation featuring the curriculum vitae of Dr. Ellen Joan Van Vliet. Please, Indra. Okay, thank you, Indra. Thank you. It is truly inspiring to see her outstanding contribution and leadership in the global movement for healthcare quality and patient safety. Now, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to invite Dr. Ellen Joan Van Vliet to share her insight with us. Dr. Ellen, the floor or the screen is yours.
Thank you, terima kasih, Dr. Johnny, and also terima kasih to Dr. Satutu for inviting both Karsten and myself to this excellent webinar. I'm honored to be here today as President-elect of ISQA and also CEO of the Dutch CARS, Qualico European Perspect, to share my insights. But before that, I'm now trying to share my screen. Okay. So you can see the presentation that I prepared for you.
Okay. Yep.
Can you see it?
Yes, now.
Okay, let me show that I still see you. Okay, so the most difficult part seems to be successful. Okay, so the upcoming half hour, we're going to explore how appreciative inquiry can help us to engage care professionals more deeply in improving person-centered care, especially through external evaluation. So we go through these agenda items. First, the challenge we face in healthcare for team well-being and teamwork. But then we explore what is quality in a complex environment, and what is the gap between work as imagined and work as done, and how can we use appreciative inquiry to understand this gap, and how can we use it to improve the design of work as imagined, and finally also using the power of positive psychology. So first, the challenge. Why is team well-being and teamwork important, and why is it under pressure? We know that effective teamwork leads to better outcomes for both staff and patients. Engaged teams experience less burnout, fewer injuries, and improved retention. And also patients benefit from safer care. There are fewer errors and there's a better recovery experiences. So team well-being is not a luxury, it's a necessity. But team well-being is under pressure because we face a demand that exceeds our capacity. Access to care is under pressure. A commitment to efficiency is not enough, and employing more healthcare staff is not an option. The demand still exceeds what we can do, so we have to work differently. And staff shortages in a system under pressure leads to exhaustion of the workforce. Every person has a level of optimal performance. If we are stretched for too long, it's a fantasy that our performance will continue to be good. It will deteriorate rather quickly, and we have to create mechanisms to prevent this to happen, because you cannot give what you do not have. And to make things worse, we face an era in which change is going faster and faster. So what does disruptive innovation mean? For example, a new technology is implemented, and how long does it take before this technology has 50 million users? It took the telephone 75 years. It took internet 4 years. But it took Pokemon Go only 10 days to get to 50 million users. And that is the pace of change that we have to be prepared with to deal with. So, to summarize the challenge for team well-being, we face staff shortages and burnout risks. We are under pressure to maintain quality while dealing with disruptive innovations and uncertainty. So we are in need of very robust systems that support healthcare workers to provide good quality care. But what is good quality care in the complex world? It needs understanding. What is quality care? How do you define, plan, design, deliver, monitor, and improve quality for your patients? And quality does not happen by accident. It's always the result of an intelligent effort. And healthcare workers, they need a clever organizations with systems and procedures that support them to give the best quality care to their patients while working in partnership with them. So, quality care requires a strong foundation, one that supports patients, professionals, and systems. And we must understand the difference, but also the interaction between work as imagined, that is the guidelines, the procedures, the indicators we have. Work as done, the reality of our daily practice, but also work as experienced. How do we feel? How is care delivered? How do we and our patients feel and live with the quality? We tend to start with work as imagined, but starting with the why are we doing this, and then with the how are we going to do this, and finally with the what do we need to do this, that is much more powerful because this way of thinking connects with our purpose and passion why we work in healthcare. So let's dive a little bit deeper how we can design systems that reflect all three of them. Let's visualize the world around us as a circle and divide it in a black and a white world. The black world is everything we can measure, grasp, point, add, and subtract, capture in numbers, put into a computer. The black side is knowable, measurable, and controllable. But in the white world, there are things like passion, enthusiasm, will, creativity, resilience, things we call soft factors, things that you cannot represent in numbers, that you cannot grab or put in a box. And it's not about the white world being better than the black world or vice versa. Both worlds are different and they have their specific character. But to give person-centered care, to really give this person-centered care, you need them both. You need both the black and the white world. The white world is linked to us humans, and the black world, you can see that as the tool, and the white world as the will to make it happen. It's the energy that drives us. And successful healthcare organizations have a good dynamics between the both worlds. But the gap is the most interesting part. The interaction between humans and their environments can be best explored and investigated the gap between work as imagined and work as done, and understand why there is compliance or not. Let me give you an example. In the Netherlands, we like to bicycle. And to make it safe, we have many pink-colored bike paths. Here you see an example of a nice bike path making a turn to the right. But we do not use this as work as imagined. And why? Because in our wide world, we don't like extra curves. We like the most efficient way and take the shortcut. And we call this work as done the elephant path. So then compare this with your organization. We all know elephant path and shortcuts. And how does the organization react? And how effective is this reaction? Well, you can see here a very ineffective reaction. So a gap between work as imagined and work as done reveals a mismatch between what is designed and what is needed. For effective teamwork, it's important to have an active system that provides healthcare workers with what they need to make informed decisions when they need it in order to deliver good quality person-centered care. And understanding the gap enlarges our understanding of the team well-being and the culture and the organization's reactions to non-compliance. And when work as imagined does not match with work as done, we lose psychological safety. We know that a large gap signals stress and misalignment, and the small gaps reflect trust and adaptability. So the gap is rich of information about the culture, the well-being, and the opportunities for change. And a powerful technique to explore the gap and understanding the dynamics between the white and the black world in your organization is appreciative inquiry. Appreciative inquiry uses the power of positive psychology. It encourages dialogue, reflection, and a shared vision. It's simple, it's very cost effective, and it builds trust in your teams. So appreciative inquiry is a strength-based approach to change. It is originally developed by David Cooper-Ryder and Suresh Srivastava at the Case Western University in the US. They wanted to challenge the problem-solving approach to the management of change by showing that organizations are not machines to be fixed, but organisms to be appreciated and affirmed. So appreciative inquiry shows that change is more powerful, energizing, and effective when we inquire into something that is possible, what is doing well, rather than remain in our problem-solving habits. You focus on what is working, you ask questions about dreams and potentials, and very importantly, your state of mind when inquiring is an open mind with the intention of doing full justice to it. So when you use appreciative inquiries in surveys, here at Qualicore we implemented appreciative inquiries 5 years ago, and a master student of the Erasmus University Rotterdam investigated the effects. The results confirm that we as auditees like to share positive experiences. It brings us in a different state of mind. The focus on what is going well gives confidence and eliminates feelings of stress. And we found that when people may highlight their success stories, they will also share with you what could be done better. So organizations reported back that this technique stimulated their learning culture and their people truly appreciated the survey, and it supported them how they can take ownership for their own quality. So if appreciative inquiry can help us to understand the gap between work as imagined and work as done, it can also help us to co-design systems that work and support effective teamwork and well-being. So let's dive into that. Applying appreciative inquiry in designing the systems we work in help us to find new solutions and experience in a safe way together with our patients and professionals. First, we empathize. We gain a deep understanding of the people we are designing for by observing, engaging, and immersing yourself with them in their experiences. Then we synthesize our findings from the empathy phase to clearly define the core objective, what we want to achieve, the why. And the next phase is creating ideas. We explore a wide range of potential solutions without judgment, using methods like brainstorming to generate as many ideas as possible. And then we start to prototype. We build a tangible representation of the best idea to test it out. And that can be a simple sketch, a model, or a digital mock-up. And finally, we test it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we collect in an appreciative way feedback on our prototype from users to learn what works and what doesn't. And we use this feedback to improve our solution. And that's rounding our PDSA cycle. Let's give an example. The Rotterdam Eye Hospital. I've been working here when it was redesigned. The Rotterdam Eye Hospital is a great example of how design thinking with appreciative inquiry improved both access to care and reduced fear. In the empathy phase, the team realized that cataract patients are really afraid to lose eyesight, and it makes them nervous when they come to the hospital. So the team designed a pathway that is fully transparent for the patient and his skin, and that is designed to go to the experience together with a friend or a family member, and together with the team. And the hospital is in the center of Rotterdam, difficult to park. So the team realized valet parking for their patients. Then they can get very comfortable and they go to the day center. They wear their own clothes or a wardrobe and they get their anesthetics in the same room where their relative is waiting. So everything can be seen and followed and shared. The surgery can also be followed on television screens. And after the surgery, the patients get a photo with the surgeon. So together with their relative, they leave the day center and the next day the team give a phone call to answer any questions. So the patient goes through this experience with his relative and they can share the experience together. And this way allowed to triple production with only half of the staff that was needed before the redesign. And staff engagement was very high because all of the effort in team building, nurses and surgeons really liked working there. And patients appreciate it as well. They come from far distances to get the surgery here. So appreciative inquiry is based on positive psychology. Think of the wide world. We want to feel appreciated. We want to belong. We need motivation to move on. We are humans, not machines. And the power of positive psychology gives fuel to perform as a team and feel well. And I invite you to watch this short video. So, Dr. Johnny, I will share the link with you so you can share it with your participants later on. It's a short video, but it's about a famous basketball player and an unexperienced volunteer. And they both get, without the blindfold, 10 turns to throw the ball in a basket. First practicing, the basketball player hit them all and the volunteer none. And then the experiment begins. The professional starts with a very not interested group of spectators. And when he scored the first time, they booed. And then he missed nearly all turns. Confidence was gone. And you can see the confusion and the disappointments on his face. But then the volunteer came. And cheerleaders motivated this volunteer in a very positive way. Yes, you can do it. You did it. And she actually scored 4 times. And that is how we influence each other. So positive psychology is not only about feel good, it drives performance. Encouragement leads to better outcomes, more engagement and readiness for change. People thrive when they are empowered to do what they are good at, even when they are not. Think of the example I just gave. So I invite you all to use positivity to fuel quality thinking and well-being. And because, and this is my final take-home message, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. but people will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you for your
Yeah.
attention to listen. Terima kasih. Over to you, Dr. Johnny.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Well, so we postponed the discussion after Carsten presentation. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Ellen,
Yeah, I
for
will
that
try to stop
enlightening.
sharing the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to onto our second session of this evening, Knowledge Sharing Cars 65th. It is our privilege to welcome Dr. Carsten Engel, the Chief Executive Officer of ISQA, who will speak on a very timely and important topic, improving care quality through external evaluation, challenges for the future. Before we listen to his presentation, let us take a moment to learn more about his impressive professional background and contribution to the global advancement of healthcare quality and safety. Please enjoy the following audiovisual presentation featuring the curriculum vitae of Dr. Carsten Engel. Please, Indra. Okay, thank you. What an inspiring career and commitment to the continuous improvement of healthcare system worldwide. Now, it is my great pleasure to invite Dr. Carsten Engel to deliver his presentation. Dr. Carsten, the floor or the screen is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Johnny. And first, I would like to thank Kars, thank Dr. Sutoto, thank Dr. Hani and Dr. Johnny for inviting me to talk to you tonight. And thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Johnny, for your kind welcoming words.
Yes.
I will now share my screen.
Please. Okay, ongoing process. Okay, yep.
So
Okay,
everything
good.
should be good now. And you see the first slide, the slide showing ISQA.
Yes.
Thank you. So actually, what I will be talking about today is person-centered care. What is person-centered care and how can accreditation support it? And why are we talking about person-centered care? Well, it's quite obvious to me, and I think, and it is the belief we share in ISQA as well, that quality cannot any longer be defined as just as delivering what your peers expect you to deliver, but it must be defined as meeting the patient's need in accordance with the patient's priorities and the patient's preferences. In addition to this, we also now work in a different environment. We are past the time where we had a siloed delivery of what we offer. You could call this a supply-driven logic, but we're moving towards a co-production logic, a demand-driven logic, which will often be delivered by several actors on the professional sides. These several actors could be different departments within an organization, or as the health issues shift towards chronic non-communicable diseases, care will more and more often be delivered through a network of organizations involved in a long-time patient journey.
Yeah.
My screen seems to be stuck.
Not moving. Still.
I'm not sure what's going on. I'm sorry about that. PowerPoint is not responding.
Okay.
I will have to restart the program. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. If you need help from our stuff. It's okay.
No, I think the problem
Okay.
is on my side.
Okay, yeah, start. Please take your time.
Oh, and it's still restarting. Hmm. Okay, I think we should be back on track now. I'll try to
Okay.
share again.
Okay, yeah, please. Yeah, ongoing process.
And I will start the slideshow.
Yes.
And
Saya
we
tulang
will...
belakang. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's good.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
we are back on track. I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad for that.
Yeah.
Okay, person-centered care. Well, ISQA back in 2022 released a white paper on person-centered care.
Yeah.
The authors of this white paper were both members of our Patient and Family-Centered Advisory Council, persons with lived experience, but also world-leading researchers in the field.
Oh, yeah.
The white paper is about person-centered care in general. It contains a lot of advice and a lot of references, and it can be downloaded on our website.
Yeah.
So, what is person-centered care? Well, I guess most of you would agree with, or not most of you, all of you, in fact, would agree with what this caption says. Everything I do out of concern for the best of my patients. And now, is this what we mean by person-centered care? No, it's not. Of course, this is very important and it's clearly something you should do, but it's not enough. The fundamental assumption underlying person-centered care is that the person is the only legitimate decision maker on questions of that person's body and health. Designing a patient journey without an intimate knowledge of the person for whom we are designing it is like working in the dark.
In the dark.
The person is the owner of the health problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And this means that we have to include the patients in when we design both individual patient journeys and general patient journeys. You could think of the model for improvement, the way in which we organize our improvement work. We always start with assessing where are we now, where do we want to go, how can we achieve that, and we also, in this case, includes some ways of measuring our progress. When we come to the patient preparation of the patient journey, we're used to exploring the situation now with involvement of the patient. What is the matter is that question we ask there. Taking the patient's medical history is foundational, and some of the ancient giants of medical education would tell their students that this is the most important part of the consultation. If you listen carefully, the patient will give you the diagnosis. The rest is just confirming it. Well, not quite so, but the point I think you grasp quite clearly. Listening to the patient will give you a lot of information and most of the information about what the matter is. But when it then comes to the aims, we often take for granted that once a problem is identified, the next step is to fix it as per our knowledge and per our professional expectations. And for some problems, such as a broken bone, this may be well aligned with the patient's view, but most physicians would be aware, for instance, that a high-performing athlete would have other expectations and priorities than an old person, and that in some cases might lead to a different approach to a problem that might seem well-defined and straightforward. And with chronic diseases or multiple chronic diseases, things becomes much more complicated, and that's why we need to ask the patient, what matters to you? What do you hope the situation will change to? The fundamental assumption of person-centered care also acknowledges that we should respect the autonomy of the patient, which means nothing about me without me, which is a catchphrase that's often used to present person-centered care. But the talk is here about sharing power, not about abandoning power. There are still important powers left with the professional and with the system that I will come back to in a moment. When we talk about patient empowerment, we can envision this as a ladder of increasing empowerment. As you can see, there are different levels of engagement with patients, from doing something to someone to doing it with that someone as an equal partner, nothing without me. Coercion, education, informing, consultation, engagement, co-design, and eventually co-production. And when you care for a particular patient, we may not always work on the uppermost step of the ladder, but the decision on where we want to stand and how we move up and down from situation should, as much as possible, be with the patient. The latter can be applied to individual care, but also to when we work to improve the system. It actually may be easier to apply co-production to individual care as the patient is actually there, clearly present. When we want to redesign our care processes and care pathways, how do we make sure that the patient voice and the patient's perspective is there? To do that, we need to have mechanisms to ensure that we know where to find it when we begin system improvement work. We should not risk missing the patient voice by default, or because it's easier just to move on than to pause and find ways to mobilize the patient's voice. There should be built-in mechanisms for that in the system. Yeah, we should set the goals from the patient perspective, what matters to you, but we should also realize that the decision must respect professional, legal, ethical, and economic constraints, and this will lead us to explore the roles of the patient and the professional and the system in a little bit more detail. First, about the patient role. The old role was the patient was a passive recipient of care. Health is defined professionally as fixing defined healthcare problems, and the care system evaluates and treats health challenges that fit into professionally predefined diagnosis. And where we want to move is a situation where the patient is seen as a person that's responsible for their own body and health, and seeks to be active in contributing to self-care. Health is a resource for what matters to me, a way to achieve what's important to me, and the care systems guide and support the patient's quest for health on the patient's term. The professional's role should no longer be that the patient is a visitor in my professional world, and that the professional invites the patient to participate in evidence-based and professionally defined pathways and goals with professionally defined outcomes and professional definitions of treatment success. No, what we want is to change the perspective so that the professional sees themselves as a visitor in the patient's life. The patient invites the professional to guide and support what matters using evidence and experience-based knowledge and skills, and the patient journey success is defined by what matters.
What matters, yeah.
And this is actually not a new concept. A famous Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, he may be known even in Indonesia, in more than 150 years ago in one of his works said, in order to help another effectively, I must understand more than he.
Yeah,
Of course,
yes.
if I don't, what can I give him? But on the other hand, first of all, surely I must understand what he understands. If I do not know that, my greater understanding will be of no help to him. So this is a very old insight and one
Yeah.
that we should put close to our hearts.
Yeah.
Now about the system role. The system units used to be siloed by care levels, hospital, primary care, university hospital, local hospital, etc., and profession, nurses, physicians, etc. The system funds, supports, and controls care delivery according to silo-based service production, and the system's success is measured in cost-benefit, where the benefit is professionally defined technical care quality. We shouldn't abandon the quest for professionally defined technical care quality, but we should add now that the system units should be self-organizing and responsible for patient journeys. They should fund, support, and control with a focus on patient journeys, and the success should be measured in cost-benefit, where the benefit is a combination of patient-defined value and what was on the left side, the technical care quality. And what is the system situation? Well, the system situation is that it has to balance. The system is not there just to help you, an individual that at a given time is in the role of a patient. The system is there to serve the population. The system's aims can be framed as this triple aim, eventually grown to a quadruple aim and quintuple aim. The system should improve patient experience. It should ensure better outcomes for the population at a lower cost, while promoting clinician well-being. As Ellen Jones just told you, without clinician well-being, there's no good care for patients either. And the health equity should be an important goal as well. And nowadays we wouldn't just look at population health. We would also look at planetary health, because sustainability has become an important issue for us. And when we list these quintuple aims, unless you have limitless resources, and no one in the world has limitless resources, then you can't optimize all 5 aims of them for everyone at all times. So the system must make balanced trade-off. Again, strike the right balance between the benefit of the individual and the benefit of the community. And what does each party bring to the table when we are to make these trade-offs and decisions? The patient brings what is the matter and what matters to you. The professional brings what are the options, what can we do, what's feasible, what's ethical, what's useful, what are the risks, and the system, what are the resources balancing the individual and the common good. Based on this, we can create a mental model for person-centered care. And I noticed that Ellen Jones had a slide that looked almost the same as this, said the same with a little bit different words. We have the overarching goal is to improve and maintain health, which is determined by the question, what matters to you? Health is what allows you to live the life you wish to live. Professionals are there to help patients achieve what matters, and the system is there to support the professionals and through them the patients in delivering this. But we must also be aware that a patient never meets an abstract system, but always some real people, professionals. The system will frame and put restraints on the meeting between those people. So the way the system works is highly important. We can't change the meeting without changing the system. But at the end of the day, it's when people meet that service and quality is created. And we should see the patient as being on a journey, and this is particularly important to the people with chronic non-communicable diseases, they are traveling along a journey, and in most of these journeys, they are not a patient, they're a person. But from time to time, they step into the patient role. And the person is embedded in a social network, but at all times, you must remember the person that takes the role of a patient is still a person just like you and me. And you can see here what some guiding questions to frame this journey. Now, why is person-centered care difficult? Well, you may find it easy, but many people find it difficult, and there are some ways in which we are working that makes it difficult. Some habits we have. One is depersonalization, viewing the patient as an object we do something to. And a typical example would be the surgeon entering the room and directing all his attention to the injured body part, not realizing that the body part is actually part of a person. This is a simple thing, but it is an important thing, and it aligns well with the last slide Ellen Jones showed us. How did you make me feel? Then there's the question of a product logic versus a service logic. A product is something that I produce, then it can be put on the store and delivered from the store to you that then use it. And the relation between us is a transaction.
Mm.
When we produce a service, there needs to be a relation as well. The relationship is part of the service production, and this is the way we should view the person meeting us, as someone with which we co-produce services. And there's a phenomenon that's explained in the white paper that's called the bracketing of the person. And it's explained in this way. While the professional focuses on biology, a fundamental shift occurs in the relationship between the two humans. The professional, another person, takes on the role of a content expert. The person in the patient becomes invisible and loses the relevance to the situation at hand. The human body becomes a substrate for professional work. The person is bracketed for a while. And importantly, patients both recognize and tolerate this bracketing when it happens as part of an acknowledged and mutual understanding of the necessity to shift focus for a time. If you are reducing a fraction by wrist, of course, while you're doing that, you should focus on that task at hand, and you should focus on aligning the bone fragments. So as long as the professional honors and recognizes the person, both before and after the focus shift to the biological or condition issues, all is well. And the patient is usually appreciative of the necessity to focus on one thing at a time and realizes that this must be in their own best interest. But it shouldn't be it shouldn't be the entire relationship, or not relationship. Then siloed and episodic models for care delivery do not promote person-centered care. We all can recognize the situation where someone comes to a specialist in, say, cardiology, and all the interest is focused upon, is this a cardiac problem or not, while not realizing that this problem we at hand is part of a larger problem for the patient we're talking to. And finally, the professional may fear losing power, and that's not just a question about power greed. It's also because I, as a professional, have the responsibility. I must have the power as well to be able to lift that responsibility. So there must be ways, if we want to promote person-centered care, we must find ways of addressing this, also in a way co-sharing of responsibility. So if we want to create a person-centered care process in a stepwise manner, what can we do? Well, we can begin with a sensitive and empathic process to understand what matters to that particular person. We must then translate this what matters into realistic and relevant care goals. We must make a shared decision with the patient on, okay, what will the next steps be? We should give the patient an opportunity to involve persons close to them or affected by the health and the health decision to be part of the decision. We must then plan and deliver the patient journey in alignment with what matters and best practices, and we must evaluate care in terms of what matters. But what if the patient makes poor choices or disagrees with professional advice? Well, first, we must realize and we must respect that health may not be the only life goal. And by the way, also that if a patient has many conditions, which many patients have nowadays, then what's good for one condition may be bad for another one, and vice versa, and how to trade these considerations off. You should always avoid finger raising, shaming, and blaming the patient. But we should review and discuss in an open, transparent, non-judgmental, and respectful manner why we think that there might be better options than what the patient at the moment is desiring. And there are references in the white papers to some tool you can use for that. And you should, at the end of the day, also respect that neither professional nor patients can force decisions upon one another. We cannot force treatment on a patient apart from very specific situations about mental diseases defined in law. And on the other hand, obviously, the patient can also not force professionals to provide illegal, harmful, or unprofessional care. To facilitate all of this, we need to build governance and infrastructure, such as patient representation on boards and committees. We could consider setting up a patient and family-centered advisory council, and ISCO has recently launched a course that will guide you if you wish to go that way. The patient should have opportunities to report adverse events and contribute to analysis and learning. You should provide your professionals with tools to support shared decision-making, and you should make use of promise and PREMS, patient-reported outcome measures and patient-reported experience measures. And this is actually well aligned with WHO's Global Patient Safety Action Plan 2021 to 2030, where you can find a number of recommended strategies. And what then about outcome? Well, as outlined in the white paper, research actually generally supports the claim that person-centered care and biomedical care are complementary. Person-centered care will, if anything, improve the outcomes of the biomedical care we are delivering, but there's also probably a synergistic effect of combining a person-centered approach and an integrated care approach, avoiding the siloing between different components of the healthcare system. And now to another aspect of person-centered care, patients can add to our understanding of the system, of the healthcare system. This is particularly true for chronic conditions when there are several providers, hospital, primary care, home-based nursing care, family, and the patients themselves, they all contribute to care delivery as co-producers. What I'm trying to illustrate here is that safety varies over time. There are times when care are more safe than in others. And here for patient pathways, one of arthritis, one of hip fracture, one of diabetes, and one of depressions. And you can see that there are dips and peaks. And I don't, there's not time for me to explain why that's the case, but I'm sure you can imagine why this is the case. But now imagine that this is about one patient having 4 conditions, and you can then see that there may be a linkage between between these different patient journeys, but that wouldn't have been obvious for us if we were just sitting in one of the silos observing our part of the journey. But the patient sees it all and can help us get information to better understand the safety of the care we are delivering. And the WHO released a couple of years ago a 70 minutes video that really illustrated the power of how listening to the patient voice can change the way in which we see the healthcare world and inspire us to change. And the link to this video is here, and I strongly encourage you to take the 17 minutes it takes to watch this video. It will really impress you, I'm sure about that. And now to the last slides of my presentation. How can accreditation of my presentation? How can accreditation support person-centered care? Well, based on what I've said previously, it's obvious that accreditation should require that governing structures include the patients and family representatives in the patients and family voice. Accreditation should require the use of PROMs and PREMs. Accreditation should support the concept of a patient journey across internal and external borders, and it should not just view at the silos. It should try to track the patient journey and track the quality of the patient journey and inspire you to track the quality of the patient journey when you study the quality. Accreditation could assess how the care provider uses shared decision making, and by doing all of this, accreditation will assure that patient-centered, person-centered care is on the agenda and is discussed in leadership fora and is discussed throughout the organization. You should also include the patient voice in accreditation, in particular, perhaps when you are setting the standards. If we believe in what matters to you, then the patient voice should also be included when we define the standards that define what good quality is. But you could also, during the survey, review how the organization uses the patient voice, and you could consider using patient surveyors. But if you do so, you should think carefully about what their role is to be sure it's not just a tokenistic thing to demonstrate that, yes, we include patients, but define what's really the role for patients to have. And just one suggestion is, if you're using the appreciative inquiry technique, then of course you should use the patient surveyors. They have a very good perspective from which to do such types of inquiries. And the key messages would then be that we can't define quality and safety without the patients. Patients can add to our understanding of the system. Person-centered care is likely to improve outcomes, and you will also find, I'm sure, that patients want to engage. And with this, I say thank you, and I'm open to questions and discussion.
Okay. Okay, nice presentation, Dr. Carsten. Thank you very much, Dr. Ellen and Dr. Carsten, okay, for your excellent and insightful presentations. We have truly learned a great deal from both of you, similar topic, from the power of appreciative inquiry in building strong clinical leadership to the future challenges and opportunities in external evaluation for healthcare quality improvement as our usual works in CARS. Yeah. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we will move into our discussion and question and answer session. This is an opportunity for all participants to engage directly with our distinguished speakers, to share reflection, and to seek clarification on key points from the presentation. For the smooth conduct of these sessions, please note the following. Participants are welcome to post their question in the chat box, or you may use the raise hand feature feature if you wish to ask your question directly. We will select several questions to be addressed by our speaker. Our discussion will be moderated to ensure that as many questions as possible can be covered within the time available. So please feel free to participate. Your question and insight are very much valued. Now, let us begin our Q&A session. Please, for the first opportunity, I will give to Dr. Stoto. Dr. Stoto, maybe have a special question or reflection with Dr. Karsten and Dr. Ellen John. Please, Dr. Stoto. Your voice still, no voice still. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions, one
Yeah.
for Dr. Allen and one for Dr. Carsten.
Yeah.
Dr. Allen, thank you for such an inspiring and enlightening presentation. Yeah, you talk beautifully bridge the science of quality with the art of human connection. That's reminding us that positive inquiry, compassion, and reflection can be powerful lever for change in healthcare organization. The way you link work as imagine, work as done, and work as experience truly open our eye to the deeper human dynamic of quality improvement. My question is, you highlighted that appreciative inquiry foster psychological safety and reduce resistance to change.
Mm.
What key strategies would you recommend for hospital surveyor or manager who want to cultivate such a positive, open culture in organization that still operate under fear-based or compliant-driven mindset? And one question for Dr. Carlson.
Okay.
Dr. Carlson, thank you for a truly profound and forward-looking presentation. You have masterfully illustrated that how accreditation is not merely about compliance, but about transformation.
Yeah.
Shifting from process to outcome to value. Your framing on accreditation as about a system investigator and learning catalyst of a refreshing and deeply humanistic perspective. And the question is, you emphasize that the future of accreditation must evolve from compliance-based assessment to a continuous value-driven improvement journey. In your view, what is the best way for national accreditation bodies such as CART to balance global standardization with a local context in Indonesian hospital, ensuring that the accreditation process remain relevant, adaptive, and meaningful for both patient and healthcare professionals? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sutoto. Now we start with a question for Dr. Ellen John. Please, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Satutu, for the question. So the question was on how to start with appreciative inquiry when you are going do a survey in a hospital. So let me share you how at Qualicor we started. And we started with a really positive intention. So we intrinsically had the belief that people that work in hospitals, healthcare professionals, they have a very strong intrinsic motivation to deliver the best possible care. So if you just can tap into that energy and into that passion that healthcare workers go to the hospital to deliver good quality care, it will become more easy. So it's about trust. Trust that you go out of your bed, you go to the hospital, you are there to deliver good quality care. So then we found the concept of positive psychology and we made a training program. So we did severe efforts to train our surveyors in the technique of appreciative inquiry. Because the technique of appreciative inquiry, that's another mindset. So we really had to practice and we have to go to our own learning curve. So when we started with the concept, we noticed that surveyors tend to just check if there is compliance. And actually the question is, if is there compliance is not very interesting. The question that is interesting is, why is there compliance? Or why is there
Not
non-compliance?
comply.
Yes, is there a bad system? Is there a poorly functioning system? Or is it that people do not take their accountability? And if so, why? So you have different kind of discussions. So that's why we persuaded with the appreciative inquiry. First, people were very skeptical when we started with this surveys because they thought it was like more giving each other hugs and give good feelings, and it was more a cuddling survey than a true culture survey. But then it turned out that if you start with appreciative inquiry and you train your surveyors well in an appreciative way, they start to learn, they start to get rid of the criteria to be ticked, but use them in the back of their head and just have the good conversation about quality. The people in the hospital, they start to talk and they tell you what's going well, but they also tell you what's not going well. So there was an openness. So to get back to your question, how to start, when you start, you really have to internally believe that you can tap into the intrinsic motivation that people work in healthcare to do good. And then you need a serious training program, and you need to follow up with your surveyors, and you need to check also with the care organization to what extent your surveyors succeeded in being appreciative in their questioning. That's what we did. So we also were very vulnerable after each survey. I myself made a phone call to the boss of the hospital, the CEO of the hospital, and I asked him, was it an appreciative survey? And so did we do the learning. So it took a learning curve to get there. I'm not sure if I answered all the questions, but that's something to start with.
Yeah.
Believe in
Okay.
it, have a training program.
Yeah. Okay.
Terima kasih.
Oke. Terima kasih, Ellen. Bagaimana Pak Sutoto? Do you satisfied with the answer of Ellen? Your voice, Pak Sutoto, your voice still close. Yeah. Are you
Very
satisfied with
nice.
this?
Yes, very
Okay.
enlightening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. And now, Dr. Karsten, please.
Yes, your question to me was at least partly about how to balance the let's say global quality standards with the local needs. And I would say that one way to do it is actually what the ISQA principles try to do. Because if your standard meets the ISQA principles, then they are at least aligned with international quality requirements, but there's still room for it to adapt them to your local needs. And these principles are just a scaffold, and you can build your understanding of what the ISQA principles are by being actively involved in the accreditation movement, in the discussions we have at ISQA and the accreditation councils and things like that. And when it comes to local requirements, well, I think in a way you can use what matters to you in that context as well, because what matters to you channels from the patients to the professionals to the system, but it goes even up to you then what matters to you. What are the challenges that your clients are meeting when they are when they're faced with having to deliver the quality that's expected of them. And you also alluded to the change to the going away from compliance assessment to a more outcome-based assessment. And I think appreciative inquiry is a very good tool for that. Instead of checking if people do as they should do, ask them, do they achieve what they want to achieve? And if not, what are the obstacles to this? And as Ellen Jones told us, and it has also been my experience, if you ask people what they actually do in a way that is not blaming them for not to working by the book, but being curious about why are you not working according to the book. If you aren't, there might be good reasons for that, there might be bad reasons for that, but you need to understand what the reasons are in order to be able to do anything about them. And if you take this approach, the focus on accreditation, which also will also shift from just measuring compliance to being more concerned on what is it actually we deliver. But when saying all of this, we shouldn't forget that in many circumstances there are good reasons for why we should be compliant with the procedures. There is a certain procedure for initiating a blood transfusion, and that's not something we just can bypass if we find something else easier, but we should make it easy for people to follow the right path.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carstens. How about Dr. Soto? Are you satisfied with the explanation from Dr. Carsten?
Thank you, Dr. Karsten.
Okay. Okay, now we have two person with raised hand here. First, Dr. Toreni Yurista, please.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
yeah.
Joni. Hello, Dr. Joni and Dr. Sutoto. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to see you both again.
Yes.
Dr. Kasten and Dr. Ellen, it's a pleasure to meeting you for the first time. My name is Dr. Toreni. I'm from Pindad Hospital, and I must say this presentation was truly insightful. I really appreciate how you reframe the concept of PCC, which I initially thought referred to patient-centered care. But it was a much broader and deeper idea. People or persons-centered culture, maybe. The way you emphasize that excellent patient outcomes begin with how we treat and support our healthcare workers, it's really amazing. It's refreshing to see such a holistic and humanistic approach to healthcare management.
Yeah.
So, in many healthcare systems, especially in hospital, we are designed around efficiency. There are controls, standard
System.
detection, and system, and not necessarily around empathy or human connection. So from your experiences, how can we redesign hospital system so that human-centered values are embedded not only in individual behaviors, but also in system, in our policies, metrics, and daily workflow design maybe? This is my question. Thank you.
Okay, maybe. Thank you, Dr. Toreni. Maybe Ellen first, and then Dr. Carsten can answer this question or reflection maybe from Toreni, because now in our hospital environments, it's also talking about that. Please, Ellen.
Thank you, Dr. Torini, and nice to meet you as well. An excellent question. And again, this is about mindset. So something I did not talk about, and I strongly believe as well, is the concept of service excellence. So what we know is when you work in a service industry like healthcare, it makes a very big difference if you are able to really design your services from the perspective of your service user, the patient. And there is an excellent report from the Chief Medical Officer of Scotland on realistic medicine and personalizing realistic medicine that gives also very nice examples. I can share the references with Dr. Johnny. They are very interesting, inspiring publications.
Thank you.
And to go back to the example of the Rotterdam Eye Hospital, we know that if you have the courage to redesign your organization or your pathway from the perspective of your patient, and you do that in co-creation, things happen that you cannot predict. We think that we know what patients want, but actually we are quite wrong many times. So what we noticed, the example with the cataract surgery and the day center, there it get hand in hand. So we redesigned the entire pathway from the perspective of the patient, and we did it in a co-creation. And the efficiency really increased, like we tripled production, and we did it with only half of the staff. But it was not the mindset. So it's the same with lean management. The mindset is not to improve efficiency. The mindset was to improve and increase patient satisfaction. And they go hand in hand. So the challenge is to find where they can be combined. If you work from the perspective and the eyes of your service user, things are very frequently very different than what we think. We think quality is in contrast with efficiency, but it's not. Good quality is doing the right things on the right time and doing it right at once. So it's really about a mindset and courage to redesign from the perspective of your service users. And also, when you want to start with it, find good examples, find inspiring examples where they succeeded. And then also, when you're going to implement, I've been working in the Rotterdam Eye Hospital, so it's my own experience as well. The most important surgeon of the group was very reluctant. He didn't want to go with us because he wanted the efficiency. But there were one or two others who wanted to. And that's where we could use the concept of the prototype and the small idea. So we managed to start, and then we could give them all the experience, how it improved. So that's another way to start. Seek an inspiring example and seek one or two persons in your organizations that are willing to join you. And it doesn't need to be the champion or the big man or woman from your department. Just be able to prototype and start.
Okay, thank you,
Terima
Ellen.
kasih.
Terima kasih. Okay. Do you have a short answer, Dr. Karsten, for Dr. Toreni?
Well, just to say that I totally agree that this is a question of mindset, and one of the things you should change in your mindset is the idea that efficiency is about doing a lot. That's not the case. Efficiency is about creating value for the patient. And you need a courageous leader who dares trying this out. And as Ellen Jones say, it's probably not a good idea to try to change the whole system in one stroke. Find somewhere with people who want to do this, who are interested in doing this. Let them demonstrate that this actually works, and the good vibrations will spread.
Okay, thank you, Carson. Now we are going to Dr. Eka Fiora, and after that we will go to the chat box. Okay, now Dr. Eka Fiora, please, your question. Your voice not come yet.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
thank you.
yep.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Johnny. My question to Ellen. Thank you for your insightful presentation. My question, in healthcare setting, how can positive psychology principle be applied to enhance both patient and staff experience in terms of satisfaction, motivation, communication, and overall well-being? Please provide the example for how positive psychology can be implemented to enhance patient and staff experience. And the second to Dr. Karsten. Nice to see you, Dr. Karsten. Good evening. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. My question to Dr. Karsten. Earlier, your mention 5-point explaining why PCC is difficult. In Indonesia, there are additional challenges that make PCC particularly hard to apply, especially for the patient covered by the National Health Insurance Scheme. In Indonesia, the National Health Insurance Scheme currently reimburses services based on limited and disease-oriented model. This create barrier to the holistic and integrated approach required by PCC. One major issue is that insurance only cover care involving one or two healthcare workers per patient visit. As a result, it is difficult to implement multidisciplinary care, for example, involving doctor, nurses, psychologists, and social worker in one session to address a patient's full range of need. Another significant barrier is that some mental health related diagnoses are excluded from the insurance cover, such as suicide attempt or self-harm and substance use or drug dependence. This exclusion lead to the serious consequence. Patients with disease condition are often unable to access timely comprehensive treatment because they must pay out of the pocket. Health facility may be reluctant to provide care because reimbursement is not guaranteed. The system unintentionally stigmatizes this patient, reinforcing the idea that their problems are behavioral rather than medical and psychosocial. Another significant barrier is that some mental health related diagnoses are excluded from the insurance cover. My question, how would your comment on this situation in this situation of in Indonesia? Thank you.
Okay, it is hard question. Okay, first, Ellen, please answer. Maybe you can use the more shorter than before. Yeah, because we have
Okay.
time limited.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Dr. Eva. So, how to be very brief? It's like the yin and yang of control and trust. So, if you want to start with positive psychology and enhance patient and staff experience, you have to be comfortable to give some control away and give trust to your providers and patients. So, again, the Rotterdam Eye Hospital, when we redesigned the example with full transparency, it was a concept where we said we're going to learn together, we're going to co-design together, co-create together, and we are going to be very open also when things go wrong. And because of this transparency and the co-creation journey, we noticed that trust grew. Trust grew in the team, trust grew with the patients, and patients appreciated as well when things went wrong that we shared them together, that we were open with them. So if you want to implement this state of positive psychology, you have to start with searching how you are dealing with control and trust. You have to be able to give up control and give trust to your team. Dr. Johnny, I will stop here. Otherwise, I will talk for another 15 minutes. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to Carsten. This is the hard question, I think, because this is the typical problem now in our hospital. We start using universal health coverage with strict rules. Okay, please, Dr. Carsten.
Yes, this is a hard question, but I mean, person-centered care is not about guaranteeing the patient that they get whatever they need and whatever they want. We need to be realistic. But one important thing is that you can help the patient to understand the system. You can explore what the patient's priorities are, and then with the patient, you can discuss how can we reach the most of this within the limitations of the system we work in. And there can be a case for involving the wider network, the community around the patient. There may be resources there that in some way can help as well, and that are perhaps not so obvious if we only look at it with a health care system perspective.
Okay, Dr. Eka, maybe you, hopefully you're satisfied with this answer. Okay, now we will go to the chat box question from Dr. Fira. Good evening. I have a question to Dr. Carsten Engel. Patient-centered care consider what matters to the patient, but what if the goals that the patient want are unrealistic? For example, I have had a conflict between family members and a neurologist who was treating a stroke patient. The family expected him to walk on his own on discharge, but we know it would take time to regain motor function for the patient. Yes, please, Dr. Carsten.
Well, the answer is the same as before. Of course, we must be realistic and we must help the patient and the families to understand what is possible, and we can't deliver what's not possible, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yes. The key of a person-centered care, how to, yeah, the metaphor.
But do make have this discussion in a respectful way. Try to understand what the perspective of the other one, but try also to make them understand what how things look from you and the system's perspective.
Okay, yes. And now the second question from Jill Ayu Dewanti. Dear Dr. Ellen and Dr. Karsten, here are some questions. Dr. Ellen, what do you think about making teamwork more effective using the daily Scrum method in healthcare? And then Dr. Karsten, what's the best way to overcome those difficulties in implementing person-centered care? Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jill, for the question. I think that's a very excellent way. The daily Scrum, it's already largely on large scale implemented in both the Netherlands and Belgium. And there are very excellent ways to have a daily contact with your team, with the staff. So yes, it's a very easy way to make teamwork much more effective. So highly appreciated.
Okay, Jill. Okay, that's a answer from Ellen. And now, Dr. Karsten, please.
Yeah, well, I would say you should talk to heads, to hearts, and to hands. You should make it important. And for instance, sharing the video I showed you about the patient voice, it could be one way. You could involve patients from your own hospitals in telling stories, or physicians or nurses telling stories about how they improved care delivery using person-centered care perspectives. And actually in Israel, we will in the near future launch a portal on a website called Bridge Your Voices, where patients, professionals and system owners can share their experience of person-centered care. So you might be able to find resources there, but make it important, make it possible, give people tools, and make and there are tools that can help you delivering person-centered care, such as the decision-making tools I mentioned, and make it the way we do things here by the leaders should be the one who go first and show that this is what we experienced, and integrating patients in committees, boards, etc., will slowly but steadily make it a natural way of viewing and doing things.
Okay, thank you. Now, question from Kamalarita, nurse. She is nurse. To Dr. Karsten, how can healthcare providers effectively manage and enhance patient engagement to improve health outcomes and overall patient experience?
Well, the brief answer here would be to involve them in governance and management in the way I showed you, but then use prompts, prems, and again decision-making tools, take appreciative inquiry techniques again when you talk to patients. These are ways in which you can leverage engagement.
Okay, thank you. So we have more 10 minutes our time for this program. I think I don't complete this session without invite Dr. Nico Lumenta to asking or give a reflection or something. Please, Dr. Nico.
Thank you, Dr. Johnny. Dr. Ellen, goedenavond. When you talk about work as experience, I think you agree that the element of culture is very important. We have in Indonesia culturally sensitive care. Our population consists of more than 1,300 tribes. So we have a multicultural. Thank you again. So that's my comment. Dr. Carson, very interesting is the patient surveyor. What can accreditation do for PCC, for person-centered care? Can you elaborate the patient surveyors? Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Carson, please.
Yes, the patient survey, I think the role of one of the roles of patients surveyors could be to be curious and answer the question and ask the questions. Ask questions about what do you do to involve patients, for instance. When you are interviewing, let's say, a leadership group about their how they assess the quality of the services that they deliver. Ask questions about where is the patient perspective? Where's the patient perspective in this? And when you if you do the tracer methodology, I mean, then it will be very obvious to have surveyors both that ask questions from the professional perspective and from the patient perspective.
Okay, Dr. Nico.
But
I think maybe I'm mistaken. Is the surveyor from a patient, ex-patient, or just a surveyor from the accreditation body?
well, you need to find someone who can take the patient perspective, but it's also important to find someone who is, let's say, genuinely interested in improving the quality of the services. It should not be someone who has, let's say, an issue with the healthcare system that they want to fix in some way. And but we have good experience in ISQA. We have a patient and family centered advisory council, and it is certainly possible to find people who have who has the patient perspective, but is, I mean, in some way, we all need to be able to see the situation not only from our own perspective, but also from the other perspectives. You should be able to at least to some extent take both the patient, the professional, and the system's perspective to really understand what's going on. And so you need to, I would say, you would need to train your patient surveyors in the same way that you train any other surveyors. They need to understand the survey techniques in the same ways. What they bring is a perspective, but this perspective is used with the same methodology than that was used by any other surveyor, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Nico, could you share your experience in raising a patient for patient safety organization before?
Yeah, I actually introduced the patient safety movement in Indonesia in 2005, I think. It's interesting that I introduced a motto, BPS, bila pasien itu saya, in English is, if the patient is me.
You, me.
Yeah. It's a very good motto for everyone in the hospital. I think patient safety champion or PCC champion from the patients is very important also. That's what we have done in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you will find that the patient have added insights and ideas that were not that obviously if you solely look at it from a professional perspective?
We select the patient with the concept of Professor Hibbert patient activation measurement. So there are 4 levels of patient's status, very active one, etc. Okay, this is my information.
Yes, as you know, Dr. Carsten and Ellen, Dr. Nico is a father of patient-centered care in Indonesia since 2005. Yeah.
Patient safety.
Wow.
Patient safety.
Patient safety. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Patient safety movement from 2005. He works there until now. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I'm 82 years now. My age is 82.
And he is at 82 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I
very.
don't believe that.
And still a
don't believe that.
surveyor, senior surveyor of cars we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until yesterday, last year, he still attend the ISQA meeting, but not the year
Yeah,
because he become older, I think. Until
I
last
attended,
year
in Korea.
in Korea, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes more. Please, Ellen, maybe you have a final conclusion or whatever.
I would like to congratulate Dr. Nico on his efforts to really get patient safety on the map and also person-centered care. That's so important. So
Thank
you
you.
must be very important for your country. So first start with that. Big compliments and
Yeah.
I'm proud. So
I actually have a Dutch name.
it's
Yes.
very Dutch,
Yeah,
Lumenta.
very Dutch. Yeah.
Lumenta, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate what you said about cultural sensitive care. I think it's really important. So one question, if I would be the patient, what kind of care would I have wanted for myself or for my loved one? But then again, it's also important to realize that the person that needs care may be from a cultural different context. So that means that one size does not fit all, that we have to make sure that when we have really this person-centered approach, that we can also look through the eyes of the patient who needs the care, because needs and reactions, expectations are different. And if we do not take the cultural sensitivity into account, we have a lot of ineffective care that we are going to deliver. So it's so very important, again, also for the efficiency of your system, but also to give really good quality care, that you take that into account. So I really love that you highlighted the cultural sensitivity importance. Dr. Johnny, do I have 2 more minutes to also reflect on the question of accreditation? How can accreditation support person-centered care in 2 sentences?
Okay, please.
Yeah. What we know is if in accreditation, in your standards, you have a very structured way to make sure that person-centered care is implemented in the entire organization. So if you have in your standards, with each standard, is this standard co-designed with your patient? In what way is your patient and the relative engaged and involved? And you do that on the strategic, the tactic, the operational level for the planning, the design, the delivery, and the improvement of care. Then you come to a stage that when you accredit that hospital, person-centered care is not any longer an accident or a personal hobby of a team, but you get it in the entire organization. And I think there we can really work together and make sure that person-centered care get implemented. So thank you. Terima kasih.
Yes, I'm happy to inform you that since 3 months ago, we have, Dr. Nico launched a new program of us to give award to the hospital who performs hospital patient-centered care, who prompts, prompts, prams, and co-production in with their patient. Maybe Dr. Nico will explain short brief explanation.
We designed a 8 standard for the PCCI. That is, as you know, ISQA told us the concept of PCC, but local wisdom should be also. So we use what we call asuhan pasien terintegrasi, patient
integrated
care.
patient care,
Yeah,
integrated
yeah.
patient care. Yeah.
We have 8 standards for that, with 113 criteria.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
we give award to the hospital
Yes.
who performed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in addition, about culture, Alan and Carsten, we have ethnic here in Indonesia, big ethnics who don't want operate in Sunday, Tuesday, Monday,
Saturday.
Tuesday, on Tuesday.
Oh.
They don't want operate on Tuesday. And the other ethnic, they don't want discharge from hospital on Saturday.
Saturday.
That's big. That's culture.
Yeah.
That's a culture
Right.
here. We
Yeah.
know. We know it. We know it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
you have asked what matters and you got the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Time goes on. Yeah. Dr. Carsten, please your final conclusion.
Closing.
Yes.
Closing.
Closing statement.
Yeah. Well, first I would congratulate you on all of the things you're doing, and it's so great to hear that the idea is taking ground all around the world, and many countries is implemented in ways that are suitable for their cultures or even their multitude of cultures.
Yeah.
And what's important is to remember that very much this is a mindset and a culture, but we must also have a system that's supportive of that culture, that makes it possible, easy, the right thing to do. Remember Ellen Jones' bicycle path. Align your expectations for people with what you know they will do, because that's the easy thing to do.
Okay, thank you, Carsten. Now we come to the end of our meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, what a remarkable evening we have had. We begin with Dr. Alan Jones, who reminded us how appreciative inquiry can serve as a powerful accelerator for clinical leadership, staff engagement, and patient empowerment. And we continued with Dr. Carsten Engel, who shared valuable perspective on how external evaluation can continue to evolve as a driver for sustainable quality improvement in healthcare system worldwide. We also sincerely thank all participants, both from Indonesia and abroad, for joining this 65th session of Knowledge Sharing Cars. Your active engagement and commitment to learning are what make this program meaningful and impactful. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we near the end of this Knowledge Sharing Cars session, it is my pleasure to represent Dr. Sutoto as Executive Chairman of CARS to give the closing remarks and officially conclude today's program. Thank you. See you on the next program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carsten. Thank you, Ellen Jones. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.